Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Monster Hunter Wilds. Today though, I want to talk to you about advanced item related tips, things that are going to be straight up improving your experience with the game. Whether you're farming many investigations, or just want your hunts to be smoother and faster in general. So let's just get started. We're going to kick this off with something that I only recently started doing that I wish I'd been doing sooner, and it's pretty easy too. In the same way that I recommend with your item pouches that you have different setups, and we'll cover a little bit of this. It's also a very good idea to have different equipment sets for what you're doing. As we'll talk about, having a gathering set is super handy and probably important for a few of these tips. But also something that I just wasn't properly making use of was a buffing set. So as you can see, this has speed eating, item prolonger, and free meal. Now, obviously speed eating is going to greatly increase the speed at which we consume these items. But also, free meal is incredibly impactful. 45% of the time, it means when you consume something, it's not actually going to be spent. So as I drink this demon drug, it's super quick, and then also free meal activated. So as you can see, I still have 5, even though I've just drank that. When it comes to the more expensive items, whether that's things like demon powder, might seed, or the mega demon drugs, having that proc and saving you about half the time is a lot of resources that it means you don't have to keep restoring and farming. So just that alone is worth having as a buffing set. So you pop this on, do your buffs, and then swap to your real set and do the hunt. But there's another skill that's really potent here, and that's item prolonger. Item prolonger, as it says, increases the item effect duration by 50%. So however long the thing lasts, half of that time gets added to the total. So in this case, the drug that we just drank lasts 30 minutes normally. With that 50% increase, we're getting an extra 15 minutes, 45 minutes of that buff, which lines up almost as long as the 50-minute meal buffs that we're using. Great for maximizing hunts without interruption. Now obviously it's not as potent on things like demon powder and might seed, but it will increase the duration of them, and then you will have to pop them less generally. In regards to the item sets, I have my DD, DP and MS, might seed, demon drug, demon powder setups. I've got one with dash juice on top, as we'll talk about, and then we have the mega version, which is the same thing, but instead of regular demon drug, we have mega demon drug. The point of running these in your hunts is it's going to give you a lot of raw damage. Mega Demon Drug gives you 7 raw for that 30-minute duration, or 45 when we're using Item Prolonger. Then we're getting 10 from the Demon Powder and Might Seed, so you're getting 27 raw for the opening of your hunt, ultimately making your whole experience smoother. So it's very much worth committing to using these things, but if you are going to do that, then I'd strongly recommend you run a buffing set so that when you're popping these buffs initially, and then you swap to the real set you're going to use. So what am I using to actually get those skills? Well, it's Dashagama Helm in A. This provides you with 2 levels of free meal. Then we have Chatakabra in A, which gives us 1 level speed eating. Then you've got New Udra for the gloves, that's 2 levels of speed eating. So 3 out of 3 there. The battle coil is really important. This provides you with all 3 levels of item prolonger on 1 item. And then finally, Dashagama Greaves, the boots, is the final level of free meal that we're missing. And that's it, you get all 9 levels on the 3 skills, just like that. Also, as a little interesting bonus note, while you're in your tents or say in any of your camps like the base camp, the timer isn't actually going down. You see my food buff there? 7 minutes and 6 seconds. That is going to not dip down until I exit into the open world, and you see the timer's going down now. So let's re-enter the base camp, and as you can see, it stopped at 6 minutes and 59 seconds. It's not going down. So as a little bonus tip, if you're in base, you're in your tents, you're doing crafting or whatever it is, maybe making some gear with Gemma, you're not losing your buff timers, including the demon drug. So that's really handy to know. To continue on from this, there are other tools you can make use of to go even harder, such as might pills, which are super potent. But the problem with these things is they take a lot of resources to actually craft. So might seed you're just gathering and using your farm to get. Combine that with a catalyst and you get demon drug. Again, a might seed, but this time a god bug essence that makes the demon powder. So these 3 all go hand in hand super smoothly. When it comes to the mega demon drug, that requires a demon drug, which is all the stuff we needed to make demon drug, and a nourishing extract, so they come in much smaller doses. But the might pill, as you can see, requires immunizer and might seeds as well. So you can run these, but it's like a really impactful bit of boosted damage. The time to use these would not be at the start of the hunt. It'd be like just as you've finished a mount or a guaranteed knockdown on a monster, so that you can maximize its brief window of really big damage increase. On that note, we also have the armor or defense versions of these things, armor skin or mega version, hard shell powder, adamant pills, all the same stuff which you can run in your setup as well alongside the offensive stuff. But the reason that I don't, and I don't think you need to, is nothing in this game's that hard. The only time I would recommend you consider this is if you're going against a 5-star gore magala or arkveld in their tempered versions. That's when their damage is obviously quite high, and that's when maybe running this armor skin stuff is going to help. The problem right now with the 5-star versions of monsters is they're not really as rewarding as they should be for how much harder they make the fights, but knowing about them is obviously worth it. Next, I want to mention the dash juice setup, which is obviously pretty straightforward. We're just running dash juice with the setup. This recovers stamina, right? But also reduces stamina depletion when performing actions. This is particularly potent if you are a dual blades player or a bow player where these weapons are very stamina dependent and you've got a lot of passive draining going on. Your alternative to that's going to be cheaper and easier is the energy drink, but obviously dash juice is the better one and the one that I recommend. As you can see, it requires catalyst like a lot of stuff, but also dash extract. So it's not exactly cheap. Therefore, I want to make you aware of getting extra resources, whether that's mega, demon drug, or the powders. Whenever the support ship is in, you want to make use of it. You can request goods based on what you're looking for, but in this case, we want medicinal items in specific. Here, as you can see, we can get those catalysts just in exchange for guild points, really cheap, max potions, might pills, adamant pills, the demon powder, mega armor skin. This is absolutely phenomenal, and so whenever this is available, you want to be making use of it, massively saving you on these big expensive crafts as well as free meal. You can also make use of the farm to target these things, which is definitely worth considering. You'll find that they have different odds though, like finding might seeds in this case is very unlikely. So your best target for these things will probably be plum peach and sabar. Sabar is your might seeds, as you can see, 3-star rating, so you're going to get those really well. And then plum peach is going to give you 2 stars on the adamant seeds if you're after those. But those are the two that I consider for the farm. But, you know, there is another way to supplement the farm. The farm can be sped up and refreshed by using the rest and spending your guild points on that. Obviously, you're doing that for loads of different purposes, so it does go hand in hand, but I still find it's quite slow. Personally, I just have what I need when I do a tiny bit of gathering here and there. It's not as bad as it might seem. For that, I'd recommend you set up an item pouch with a gathering set, which is just basically the basics of existing, and then as much space as you can to pick up all the items to bring back into your item pouch. Alongside that, that's why we have that special equipment set up for gathering. And this isn't complicated either. We've got botanist and geologist in the setup. Botanist means we're going to get extra stuff like mushrooms, insects, fruit, nuts, or seeds, which is what we're after with might seeds. And then geologist, when you're picking up mining nodes, bone piles, or special items you use for trading, you get extra resources there. I just run any setup that I'd normally run and then just decorate those in. I don't even think about it. Then all I do is open up the map and go through each of the 5 locales, picking up the things that matter with this set on. To find the things that matter, I just pull up the filter icon, go to gathering, and then find them. So in this case, I might go after the sleep herbs, the adamant seeds, the parashrooms, the mandragora, and anything else that I might care about with special items. Then I just go do the same in each region. Only 2 of them actually have might seeds to be aware of, Oilwell Basin and the ruins of Wyvria, so those are the ones that I make sure I'm doing, and they respawn on a 15-minute timer. Last thing I want to make you aware of is well done steaks, which are an item that actually recover your health and stamina fully. So let's say my food buff that's got 6 minutes on it right now runs out in the middle of a hunt. I can use one of these steaks to quickly get all my health and stamina back to their max as if I've eaten a real meal. And so as you can see, we're up to 30 minutes on the duration of that buff, which is really nice. It also works as like a mini mega potion as well, if for some reason you've run out. All you need is raw meat, which you can get by carving small monsters, and then just pull up the portable barbecue grill and use the grill meat option. It's a quick minigame where music plays and you just do the things to the time, but for the first part you just wait until the meat first changes colour, then continue on to the part where you cut right as the hunter goes to cut. Again, there's a melody that plays that helps you do this, and if you perfect it, you get 12 well done steaks instead of, 6 at the minimum. So good to know about. For this next section then, let's cover during hunt type of tips. Starting with your mantle, corrupted mantle. This is probably what most people are going to be running in terms of meta gear. It's a little bit too strong, lasting like a ridiculous 2 minutes, providing you with affinity and even raw when you're at that second phase. But even bonus ticks of damage on various types of attacks, which is incredible for weapons like longsword here because you're just doing that all the time anyway for your optimal DPS. So the point is, you want to make sure you pop on the corrupted mantle at the right time. Just like what we said earlier with might pills, you want to pop it on when you're about to go. So you're about to pop like a wound on a leg to bring the monster down, or you're about to go really ham with a trap or a knockdown. You don't want this on while the monster's stunning you, running away, traveling, any reason that you're not doing your optimal DPS. So make better use out of your mantle timing, especially corrupted mantle. On that note, let's just mention it. There's a quick way that you can put on a mantle and also take it off if you just hold L1 and then press R2 at the same time on a controller. Even though my weapon is drawn, it puts the mantle straight on. And obviously, I can also do the same thing, L1 and press R2 to take it off while my weapon is drawn mid-fight. So that's a really smooth way to think about it. Be aware though, the mantle immediately starts recuperating. As you can see, it's got 10 minutes on it. So from the moment I put it on, it's already kind of starting to refresh. While we're here, we may as well talk about the different shortcuts that we can use. For example, we have flash pods. Normally, you'd be thinking that you need to put the weapon away and then you just fire them by aiming, but the truth is, you can do this while your weapon is unsheathed. Pressing L2 or using focus mode aiming, then pressing the left stick in at the same time fires a pod, and this works with all kinds of pods. As long as the pod isn't a huge or heavy pod, it just works, so make use of this really smooth gameplay that it provides. But to access your pods quickly in the middle of gameplay, there's another keybind you can make use of. If you hold L1 and then press the left trigger at the same time, this spools up this special aiming menu where, as you can see, I'm scrolling through my items and it's only showing me throwables, like the throwing knife and also pods, any kind that I've got on me. We can extend this by pressing the play button on the center of a controller, showing us specifically the whole menu of my items, which, by the way, works when you hold L1 and press the play button. It shows the whole list of menu here. So if you want something specific in this way, really handy. Obviously, the alternative to that is using all of the different radial wheels, which I have many different setups. So, you know, lots to consider, but a lot of really useful keybinds. Just use what's best for you. Speaking of using what's best for you, I want to talk about capturing tricks. For example, when you have a monster in a trap and you're ready to capture it, you just put down 2 Tranq bombs. But this occurs around your location. Monsters can be a little bit annoying with the way that they move, or if you want to prep so you can do a really smooth capture and end of the hunt, pre-doing this before you trap them is a worthy thing we'll talk about. To make that process easier then, there's another kind of tranquilizer you can use, the Tranq blades. What's cool about these compared to the bombs then is that you get to aim just like you would a blade, and then you fire them like a pod, just like that. And so 2 of those is going to be a successful Tranq and lead to a capture. So whatever way you want to do it, the fast capture trick could make use of either the knives or the bombs. For this then, you put a monster low so that you know it's soon going to go into skull and ultimately capturable. You apply your tranquilizers, whether that's bombs or by using the knife trick, then you place the trap on them. Now they're in a trap, that's a DPS window, which allows you to easily push them into skull health, which, you know, already tranquilized or in a trap, instantly captures them, which is a really cool trick used by speedrunners to end hunts quickly and effectively try to get the best speedrun times. If you're given the option to try for it, why not go for it? And between bombs and knives, Tranq knives are going to be easier for that process since you're able to smoothly throw the knives at the target, but both do work. To make you aware of crafting these, Tranq bombs require the sleep herb and parashrooms as normal. Meanwhile, Tranq blades, you have an infinite source of throwing knives. It just requires Tranq bombs. So if you've got Tranq bombs, you can turn them into blades. There's no real downside to that. It's just whichever you prefer, which is the cool thing about it. Next, let's talk about barrel bombs, because there's quite a few really potent uses of these. There are barrel bombs, large barrel bombs, mega barrel bombs, and for most people, we're using these to blow up a sleeping monster for double damage on the bomb hit. Not all of us are playing greatsword or a suitable knock-up or wake-up weapon, so bombs are a great option in this case. The best way to make use of this is to put a mega barrel bomb next to the head of the sleeping monster, then you walk back and then place the second bomb down and pick it up by holding circle. Then you aim with focus mode and throw the bomb at the first bomb for a big wake-up explosion. But at the same time, you could always just bring a greatsword secondary and use that if you want. But there are a couple cool tricks you can use with barrel bombs. Like for example, the regular small barrel bombs, you can get free counters with these. It's on a timer when you put it down, so you just go straight into whatever counter you have and that'll trigger it automatically. Great for long swords, because if you land the attack with a special sheath EI counter, this is an instant level up. But you know, this barrel bomb is an explosive that will send you flying, knocking you down, working with the counter strike skill, which when knocked down, provides you 25 raw as a buff, which is pretty incredible. There are lots of ways you can trigger this skill, but the fact that you can just use barrel bombs to repeatedly trigger it means technically you don't even need a weapon that's good for Counter-Strike to run it. At very least, it's a really strong way to open a fight if you have Counter-Strike available. Right before you start the fight, you just knock yourself down with a barrel bomb, that easy. But you know, if you want to open the fight with that knockdown, get the buff of Counter-Strike and just do a sneak attack for a burst as well. You can even place a barrel bomb down right behind the monster you're going to sneak attack. You'll attack the monster and hit the barrel at the same time, causing a burst of damage from the sneak attack, the explosion of the barrel, and sends yourself flying, which could trigger Counter-Strike if you want. Just as another suitable option. Next up, let me talk to you about different smoke bombs, which can be really handy if you're aware of them. First up, we have Farcaster here, which basically is very simple. We pop it, and it immediately exits the fight, pulling us out of the situation. This is really handy for being in the middle of a fight. Say that you're low health and you're worried about taking a hit and taking a cart. This is especially relevant if you're about to have a cart that will end the hunt, like it's your third and final cart. I strongly recommend this when you're dealing with 5-star monsters that are a bit more scary, that might be able to one-shot you, and especially in multiplayer hunts. When you're on that last cart, you don't want to be the guy that ends the hunt. This used to be a lot more meta than it is now though, and the reason for that is because there's a quick way to leave fights even in tight scenarios. Let me say that I don't want to be here and I want to be out this fight before I get one shot or something. I pull up the map, I press right on the D-pad and then just press A and A again, or X and X, whatever it is, and just immediately I'm gone from the fight to the base camp. Kind of like a Farcaster would be doing. So they're not as good as they once were, but being able to just press one button and do the same thing, it is nicer. Next up then we have the smoke bombs, which essentially give you the ghillie mantle stealth. What I can do is do an AoE smoke bomb, which immediately makes me go invisible. It's lost sight, its effect is active right now. So it's no longer aggroed on me at all. This is AoE, so will work in multiplayer, but as you can see, I need to actually not be in line of sight when I exit the smoke bomb. I can lose aggro and then go for a sneak attack in the middle of a fight. Pretty handy if sneak attack is very relevant for you. It's just a handy trick, especially in multiplayer if you want to pull out a quick sneak attack suddenly. Lastly to talk about, we have the poison smoke bombs, which are going to provide the poison status on your targets, which can be really handy. It's just going to deal damage over time, so if you're not making use of poison yourself, it can be a way to easily get it in there. If you check the monster field guide for large monsters, we can look at the weakness to status types that we have. So 3-star on poison for Chatacabra, it'd be good against him. Someone that's very vulnerable to poison will be Zuwu or Hirabami. For the apexes, they at best have 2-star on this, but it is relevant damage over time and will work on them. For example, it'll do good damage against arkveld, so worth considering. To use it then, it's much like any smoke bomb, so we're just going to run over and pop it, like so. And just like that, in literally 2 smoke bomb uses, we've got this Dashagama poisoned, and it's dealing tick after tick after tick without me having to do anything. Just helping you speed up the kill times ever so slightly, and yeah, it's not exactly a skillful thing, easy free damage. To craft these, you'll need smoke nuts and ivy for regular smoke bombs, and then for the poison version, it's smoke nuts and toadstools. So I often gather smoke nuts when I'm doing the whole might see gathering thing. There is one pod that I think is particularly useful, relevant in multiplayer or single player, whatever you're doing, and that's the luring pods. So it's the last thing I want to cover for today. Luring pods are an interesting thing you can use in multiplayer because it draws attention to you briefly. The idea is to draw it somewhere else or separate it from enemies or other monsters, but you know, it can really help you if you're playing something like Chargeblade and you're like desperately trying to land a perfect guard to activate Power Axe, but the aggro keeps changing and you're not sure who it's attacking, you can't get that perfect guard. So you lure pod it so it's looking specifically at you, and then that gives you a reliable way to perfect guard and attack. And this could work if you're using offsets on various weapons. It's that period of tanking that could help your team in other ways, like if someone's low, you keep it on you, that reliable period of aggro for whatever reason you want. Lure pods are also useful if a monster's trying to leave the zone. You hit it with a lure pod and then it stays with you for a little while longer. Not infinitely, but a little while longer. So if you've got it low and you don't want it to leave and you want to end the fight here, a lure pod could keep it there, maybe lead to a knockdown or a trap, and then you end the hunt a lot sooner. And there's also other obvious uses to the lure pods, like drawing attention from one specific monster so that it follows you to a new location. In this case, you could lure it to a falling boulder like so and drop it on the targets. That makes for an awesome free DPS window. But, you know, maybe you're not done. You hit it with another lure pod and bring it to another one. But yeah, using this very simple method, you can bring your target to all kinds of knockdown opportunities like this, dealing great damage, giving you free DPS windows. If you're against something particularly hard, like a 5-star gore or arkveld, it's something you can easily make use of. And again, there's so many of these on these maps. Like for example, there's literally another one right next to me. Another bit of burst of damage and DPS window. Another one, another burst of damage and DPS window. Using lure pods, I can just make use of these in my toughest fights. But yeah, for now, there it is. That's our item-focused list of hunting tips, and I hope that was useful. If you guys do have any extra advice or tips of your own that would fit here, then feel free to drop them in the comments. Maybe you'll help someone. But until next time, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.